Amen. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you may be seated. All right. Well, like I said before, in my newsletter, I reached out to everybody. I thought I gave enough advance warning on what was going to happen this year. And, you know, with everything that has transpired from probably, mid-March on, we wanted to take extra precautionary measures, and according to what the CDC said, they wanted any social gatherings to be basically cut off. And so we made the determination that we would, delay our first meeting until we were. Once I saw churches able to meet, then that's when I thought, well, we could come back together again as well. And here last Saturday, actually it was Friday. Wasn't that Friday when you came in? And Thursday or yeah. My wife came in and made sure everything was sanitized. Did all the chairs down here and swept. We got the bathrooms all taken care of, and so she went the extra mile there because I've been working extra hours. I didn't have the chance to get down here to do that, so she did that. And then was there anybody that showed up then Saturday, or
just Pat?
Just Pat and you? Okay. All right. Well, I put a notice out there that anybody who would be available and willing to come down this past Saturday and volunteer some time just to help clean up. But I think most of it Michelle had taken care of. So I appreciate you for doing that.
Yes, thank you.
And before we get started, what I would like to do is sing a happy birthday to my wife. Today is her birthday. I'm not going to disclose any age. That might.
Although our son tried to put me up there a little bit further than I
Yeah.
am. He's trying to be funny.
So, a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
As my mother always say, and many more. Cha cha cha. Okay, so from here on out, I'm going to turn it over to Kathy. We do not have any secretary minutes to read. Our secretary is not present tonight, and of course it's been since last October. Last October we met. So I'm going to turn it over to Kathy, and she will give us our treasurer's report.
It's so good to see faces, even if you are covering up your mouth. I missed you, all of you. I'm not going to go back month by month. Can I just tell you what we have right now?
Good.
It's about the same. It levels off, month through the months. This past 3 months time, we've gotten $230 donation in memory of Betty Sansom. She passed on, and it was wonderful to have all that memory of her. That's good. So our total right now in the checking account is $9,292.70. We've had 21 members added. That makes a total of 42 members so far who've paid their dues to go. So that's pretty good. What else was I supposed to announce? Oh, We're signing a card for Dale Black, who is in Colonial Manor, and nobody can visit him. And so I feel like that's being in prison. So we're signing him a card to him just to make sure that he knows that we're thinking about him. Because he would love to be here, I know. Anything else I need to announce? At the moment, the BAMA committee is planning on having Apple Fest in October. However, it's going to be modified. It's not going to be as elaborate as it has been in the past, because we have to forget about some things like bounce houses and stuff like that. But we're still planning to do something in October.
Why don't you fill everybody in on what BAMA received from Richland Bank?
If you know Wes Dingus, he is on top of things, and he's on council, and at the council meeting, nobody expressed any interest in the bank building. They said they had interest in it, but no one expressed that. So immediately, he got on it and wrote to the Richland Bank, which is Park National, right, Park National, and asked what they were going to do with the bank building since they're closing. And they wrote back and they communicated, and they offered it to BAMA as a nonprofit organization. So BAMA has the building probably be finalized in September after they do their official closing. They would like to, it's going to be hard to maintain because of the amount of money you have to keep it heated and all that. So they're thinking about right now this is just thinking, leasing it and keeping a couple of the offices for the BAMA themselves, and generating a business in Butler as well as revenue for the BAMA group. So that's just the announcement. Okay? Anything else? Any questions?
Okay, passing the basket, folks. Taking up collections.
Butler Area Merchants Association.
Uh,
Butler Area Merchants Association.
I was thinking it was something to do.
Just to let you know what our next month's meeting will be ahead of time, because you folks are here. We are going to have with us Dick Wells. I contacted Dick Wells because I found out that the gentleman is very talented, and he has done over the years many different bird carvings. He'll take a block of wood and make a duck out of it, or take a block of wood and make a woodpecker, or whatever, and he does very intricate, detailed work. And I went to his house and I looked around the house, and he showed me all around and got all these birds out and everything. And so I thought it would be really neat to have Dick Wells with us and bring some of his pieces that he's done over the years. So if you have the opportunity to come next month, let me give you a date here real quick. Fourth Thursday of the month, but okay, so that'll be July the 23rd. July 23rd will be our next meeting. But of course, I'll send out a newsletter probably the first week or two in July. That gives everybody a couple week advance. Other than that, what did you say? I kind of caught some of it, but not all of it, about Apple Fest. They're still talking?
We're still talking about having it, yes, in October.
Okay. All right. And they have a date set for that at all? Is it like the 14th or 2nd?
I think it's 15 and 16.
15th and 16th. Okay. All right, well, I guess once we find that information out, we'll also pass that. I try to, anything that happens not only within our society, but something local, I get with her and ask her, is there something you want me to announce that is local to our area? It might not be anything tied in with the society, but I think, it's nice to have that information. If we're in this area, and if it's gonna promote our community, why not disclose that
Are
information?
you aware of the July 4th thing going on?
Oh, I heard, oh, yeah, Love Our Heroes?
The Sons of Freedom motorcyclists,
That's with Love Our Heroes too, isn't it? In Belleville or Butler?
and it's probably in connection with Love Our Heroes, but they call themselves the Sons of Thunder.
Okay.
Vets on motorcycles, they were here for Memorial Day. They're going to be coming through Butler
Okay.
about 11:30-ish.
That will be July 4th, Saturday morning?
Yes.
Okay. Did you all hear that? It's a motorcycle group called Sons of Thunder,
Mhm.
and they'll be coming through Butler somewhere between 11, right around 11 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay, and where are they headed to from Butler?
They're headed to Belleville, but I just heard that Belleville does not want them.
Oh,
So I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. I don't think they can deny them driving through.
right. They just don't want them stopping and,
Right.
they're not gonna have a parade, so to speak, so.
Well, looks like a parade to me
Yeah,
when you have a
well,
hundred motorcycles.
I'm saying that Belleville itself is not having an official parade,
Right,
so.
Right. They're supposed to be starting in Belleville, going down to Fredericktown, coming back up 95 through Butler, and then
Okay.
back to Belleville.
Okay,
That was the original plan, so that's what the people who are in it say they're doing.
right. How many of you folks support veterans? Right? Okay, if you have the opportunity to stop in Belleville, do you know where the pumpkin, was it Pumpkin Patch?
Pumpkin Hollow. or
Pumpkin
something.
Hollow, you know where that was at? Well, Love Our Heroes is now in that same building. It's right there if you were to turn off at 13 onto, I don't even know the name of the street there. Ogle Street. It'd be the first street on your right,
Which is Bell.
Just right there
Bell
before you
Street.
get to the
It's on
bike
Bell
trail.
Street, yeah. And it's at the end, at the very end, dead ends right there at the bike trail.
Yeah, right
And-
where the rest area is
Yes.
for the
Yep.
bikes.
Right, but if you have the opportunity to stop in there, they're doing a wonderful job there. They're taking in donated items. So then when they get donated items in, then they're turning around and then whatever you offer them for that piece, they're not pricing anything. So it's basically, you go in and you see, I like this lamp, how much would you take for it? Just whatever, you give us whatever. So all those the donated items and the donated monies then are generated back into helping veterans out. And I think she's doing a great job. It's called Love Our Heroes.
Who's heading it up?
It's
Tammy's her first name. but I
Tammy
can't remember her last name.
Oyster,
yes.
Tammy Oyster.
Did you read the article in the News Journal about that? They're building a home for one of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Yep.
veterans. They're
She-
asking for any donations.
Well, and she's struggling right now with something. There's actually an older like house right there on the property,
Yeah,
and she wanted to have that house fixed up, and if a veteran needed a place to stay,
right,
well, I guess the village is kicking her on it.
yeah,
Yeah, they're fighting.
They're fighting it.
right.
And, you know, she's just trying to do good for the community. And I hope that her battle, she wins that battle. But, you know, sometimes you have to take one step at a time. And I think she's making huge, I mean, she was actually, if you remember where Coon's Cycle Shop was on Durbin, she was in that little building there for probably 3 or 4 years. And then just kept talking to the people that owned the Pumpkin Hollow and was able to go ahead and purchase that building. And everything is, she's a nonprofit just like we are, but I think she's doing a tremendous job of, you know, getting some awareness for veterans, so.
Do you know what kind of donations? they're-
She'll take about anything.
Household clothing?
Yeah, she doesn't take clothing.
No clothing.
No clothing, but anything household related, you know, she'll take. I've donated some things and, but I think it's definitely a worthy cause, so. Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut right to the chase. Our speaker this evening is a woman who I greatly admire. She's done a lot for our community, and I've known her for many years, and she's just a wonderful lady, and I asked her, I said, Dee, I said, you know, if you could talk about a little bit about your life history. You know, everybody has a story to tell. You know, each and every one of us have a story to tell. There's something that happened in our lives that we could, you know, share with other people. And the one thing that she was involved with was the Adult Center. And I said, well, speak a little bit about the Adult Center, but just talk about Dee Weisenbarger. You know? So, without further ado, let's please give Dee Weisenbarger a warm welcome.
I'm shaking in my boots. I failed public speaking, so. First of all, I want to say that God has blessed me wonderfully. My whole life, I just feel like He's had a hold and guided me where the different places that I thought that needed help. Well, I was born in Canton, Ohio. I'll tell you a little bit because there's not much exciting. I was born in Canton, Ohio, and I lived there. And then we moved to Connecticut in '36, and I went to school 2 years there and came back to Ohio and finished my school at little country school, Pleasant View. I did not graduate from high school. When my mother died when I was 10, so there was 7 of us children, and a lot of the relatives wanted to take part of the family, girls, and my dad said, no, I promised Babe I'd keep them all together. He always called her Babe. So we were all together, but since I was the oldest girl, I was the one that had to help with the cooking and things, but my dad was very good. His Father's Day, I said thank you to him. But I was not happy when he remarried, I should say, to say the least. So I left home when I was 14. I went to a neighbor's house who had a punch press. And I had babysit for her several times, and they asked me to come and live with them and help doing this punch press. It was to make bait, fishing bait. So I stayed there for a while until they decided to take their business to Florida. Then I went to work and was like a nanny to a Jewish couple that had 3 children. Very, very wonderful people. While I was there, the lady that I'd been working with and my neighbor, she called and said that her mother had to go to hospital. Would I go and stay with the children? There was two children at home, 6 and 8. So I did that. I was going to be there for 2 weeks, but Mom Weismacher died. She had a gallbladder operation and she died while she was in the hospital. So I couldn't leave. This was down in Senecaville, Ohio, down below Cambridge. So I stayed there. I was there for 2 years. And in that time, all of the boys kept coming home back and forth. They worked in Mansfield at Westinghouse, and they came down every week. So we had our meals and everything. They stayed the weekend. Well, that's where my husband decided he wanted to marry me. So we got married and moved to Mansfield, and I was in Mansfield for several years. I worked at Sears, and then I worked at the TB hospital for a couple of years. I didn't intend to. I didn't go to. I was taking another lady, but to make the application. But when I got there, I knew the lady that was the secretary. She was my insurance man's wife. So we talked, and she said, "Why don't you put your application in?" I said, "No, I'm not going to go to work yet." She said, "Well, but if you ever do, then you'll have it in." So I said, "Okay." So I did. I got in. My girlfriend didn't. They said I had been exposed to TB when I was younger at some time or other, but I didn't get it. I had been exposed to it. And she wasn't, and that's the only way they would take anybody at the hospital to work. I didn't have to wear a mask. So I was there, well, and then later on, we moved different places and everything, and we decided that I said I wanted someplace because the kids were getting bigger and they wanted to play, and our yard was very small. And the school, Tony was about ready to go to school, and I said I don't want him going 3 different schools, so I want to go someplace where we have one school all the way through. So we moved to Butler. My husband did not like the house, but I told him he could go find another one if he wanted to, but I was going to stay there. So anyhow, we got where we're at now, and we've been there since 1955. And most of you know I've worked in almost everything in Butler except the post office and the filling station. I don't think I was there. But I've been in the restaurants and the police department and just about everything, the restaurants. And when I decided not to leave the restaurant, Roxy came over and she said, you know Roxy McCauley, came over and she said, Dee, did you really quit? And I said, yes. I only told her I'd help her get it started. That was my plan, was just she wanted to start this restaurant and knew I could do stuff. So we did. And after we got so long, I was going to leave. And she came over and she said, well, who's going to make our bread pudding or our rice pudding? And I said, well, I'll make it at home and bring it to you if you want me to. So anyhow, we got through that. But then she called me a couple days later and said, are you busy Thursday? And I said, or Friday? And I said, no, why? And she said, well, Jesse wanted to see you. So I thought, well, I don't have any loans. I'm not overdraft. But, so I went in and he wanted to know if I would work at the bank. And I said, I didn't graduate from high school. I can't work at the bank. I said, I quit high school. He said, well, you know how to talk to people. You know how to handle cash and stuff. He said, just come in, all it'll be just for the weekends. Well, that didn't work out. Because first week I went Monday and Tuesday to learn, and then he said, we might as well come Thursday or Friday and Saturday. So I did that. We went, well, the next week, come Monday and Tuesday. And then might as well stay Wednesday and Thursday. So I was at the bank. And then I went, after a while, well, we kind of had a disagreement. And so I went to Mansfield. I called Mansfield and they took me in Mansfield. And I was in the audit department and was there for 7 years and came back to Butler as the manager. And when you're at the bank or any place in town, anybody that worked in town knows what's going on in town. And this is where I came to see different things that I thought we ought to have in our town. And people would come in and say, you know, why don't we don't do this? So Roxy and I one day counted how many widows there were in town. And there was 60 widows in our town of Butler at that time. And I said, well, why don't we just get a women's club together or a senior center? Well, we talked about it for a while and we decided just to do it with the senior center. So we got this, I set up a meeting for the basement of the museum. I mean, at this library. I set up a meeting for the people to come there, all that was interested in it. My gosh, we had the whole place filled up. And so we decided then to have that, and they could come to the center then to have their meeting. Well, they had their meetings there until we had the center. The next thing we had was the food program. They didn't know, they wanted to know about having a food program. So we decided, Lois Ream-Snyder and I talked about that. And we thought maybe we could do that. And then that time we had the museum. Now, you know the story of the museum. We've had so many people go together and get this place in, and it's been a wonderful place. So we decided we could have the meals here. Well, that was until somebody got upset and said that they could smell food all the time and they didn't want us in here anymore. So I said, okay, we'll leave and go someplace else. So that's when Bob Foster had the big building where we're at now. And he came in one day and I said, Bob, are you about ready to sell that place? And he said, no, I don't think so. And I said, well, I'm going to buy it. And he said, you are? And I said, yeah, when you're ready to sell, I'm going to buy it. And he thought I was kidding. But every time he came in, he'd shake his head no. And one day I was in the office and he came in and he said, so then I had to decide how I was going to get some money. I knew a lot of people at that time. I mean, when you're in the bank, you meet a lot of things with meetings and all this kind of stuff. So I went first to the commissioners. And Ed Olson and I spent 45 minutes talking about I don't know what, but anyhow, we never got around to the building. So I made another appointment. I went on my lunch hour and I had to get back. So we finally got a chance, and he told me I would have to get a corporation number or something, a number. So I went to, Mr. Ward was in the bank at when I was up there, and he was just in the office next to us, and I talked to him quite a bit, so I went to him. And he got everything all set up and we got the number. That was good. So then I went to the Richland Foundation and the regional planning and the block grant. Every place I could think of where they might give us some money. And we did. I've got, I think, let's see, when we got the building, and we had to have a loan on it, but we were able to pay that off quickly with donations. Harry Bryant was the president of the Lions Club at that time, and we asked him if they would help us remodel the building and fix it up. And he said he'd asked the club. So they came back and they said they would if they could have their meetings there afterwards. That was fine. So then we went to the, let me see, I have my little notes here. Phyllis Johnson went to the Lioness, and the Lioness said they would. The Lions Club gave us $2,500, and then the Lioness Club gave us $2,500. So that helped do $5,000. And then the seniors had bought a lot down, whoops, I'm sorry. Seniors had bought a lot down on, I think, Union Street down there to build a building for them to stay and have their meetings. Well, they decided they would sell that and give us the money that they got off of that lot to go to the thing. Many things, many people helped us when we first got started. There wasn't one, I don't think, United Way and different places, all, no matter where I went, they all offered to help. And I have a list, I think there's a list in there of some of the things. I brought the books that Dorothy put together. There's 3 different times, and you'll see a lot of the people. And I said, I hate to say anything about anybody that helped, but boy, I tell you, the Scouts and the Lions and Lionesses and Ron and Dorothy and Bob Reamsnyder. If it wouldn't have been for Bob Reamsnyder, our basement would still have had rocks and stuff in it, because the foundation had fallen in at one time or other, and all of the rocks and all the stuff that was in there was still in there. And also, when it first was opened, the number stands in my head is something like 1910, and the buggy person did it. One did buggies or worked on buggies or made them or did something with them, because there was some stuff of buggies down there in the basement, yeah. And then they had chickens were raised down there, peeps were raised down there for a while. So we had crates down in the basement. And let's see, what else was there? The post office was in there for a while. We had all kinds of stuff in there before we got there. But all through this, everybody helped. I mean, I can see Ron Mihalovich still putting the stencils up. I mean, he worked couple of days, just putting stencils up around the meeting room in the first floor there where we ate. And he was so proud of that, and we were too. But the next people that come in and painted, they painted right over top. It was just nothing. So anyhow, everything got done. Then on the first, Bob Ream-Snyder had worked at Kokosing, so he was able to get dump trucks, lifts, and everything imaginable down there. And we had a, what do you call them little things that have buckets on them? There was one of them down in the basement, lifting things up, because we had to take part of the wall out to get it in. But they was lifting all this junk up and putting it in the dump truck, and then Bob would take it away. So it was, you'll see a lot of the pictures if you want to look at the book of all the junk and things that were down there. But we finally got that all done, and when we got the basement done, then we decided, we had the meeting room and everything done, we were going to do the upstairs. So here we go, asking people for money again. But everybody was really pretty good. So we got the money for the upstairs to do, and we had a lot of people helping us do that. So now the meals program is there. The seniors meet there. We have dominoes yet. That's the only thing that they're allowed in there other than the meals. Meals are very limited, but they don't have breakfast anymore. But the lions meet there, and the lionesses, and the seniors. And there's always had been a lot of like receptions and birthdays and things like that, but they don't do that right now because of this virus thing coming up. But I don't know if anything else. The upstairs was very, very nice extra place for us, and we put our offices up there and everything. It was kind of nice. So, and like I said, there was so many people. I said no matter who we asked, they helped. I mean, it was just unreal that the help that we got. So I don't want to go on anymore, but that's what we did. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. But there was, I don't think there was anything else that was in there that I know of. But I did have that when we first went there, I did go to the courthouse and get when the building was put up and the first people that had it. But I sent all that down to the center. When I left there, everything that I had that was information or something, I took to the center, and Dorothy has handled the record since then. And I don't have a key, so I didn't want a key. But anyhow, so those are in, and when I called Dorothy, I told her, that I'd like to have some. She said, well, I'll bring the pictures down. So the pictures are there, and they pretty much tell everything that's happened since we got it. So I can't think of yet.
A little bit of history on it. McCready's owned that building.
McCready's owned.
I'm not sure if they built it or not, but they had buggies in there. That's what they sold.
Well, they sold
then
farm equipment
Then they
too.
farm equipment too.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't tell you about the elevator. When we got in there and saw the elevator, of course, safety and health departments don't like elevators and things in there. So we put it up for auction. And Fritz Ackerman was the only one that came, and he did $25 on it. And I said, okay, we'll give it to you for $25, but you have to take it out and put the thing back in. and he did. But most of the men come, Bryant and Tony and Jim and all of them, they all worked on it to get that part in and safe again. But because the furniture store had it, George's Furniture had that, the last of it, and then Bob Foster bought it from them. But they put the elevator in to get the furniture up and down the stairs rather than taking it up and down the stairs. So, right, that's about all I can think of. I know there's more that you may like to have, but Yeah.
Now, when the building was first built, what year?
No, that's why I said I had that all in that paper.
Okay.
But the only thing I can remember is something about 1910.
I think it was right
And
at the
and
turn of
they-
the century.
they-
Okay.
That's the only thing I can remember, that was about the time that it did. And it's changed hands several times after that. But, yeah.
What year, did you say what year the adult center came into effect?
I think it was 97. It's
97.
We got it in 95.
Okay.
We got it in 95, but then we had the grand opening, and boy, I can't remember what that minister's name is. I can see him, but I can't remember what it was. Anyhow, we had it on the old-fashioned days in 1997. And then that was a grand opening for people to see and everything, but then we started the meals in October of that year.
Okay. And then what year did you actually resign, so to speak?
Tell you the truth, I have no idea. I think,
It wasn't very long ago, I don't think, was
oh
it?
yeah, it's been at least 10 years.
Really?
Mhm, at least 10 years.
Oh.
I think, it seemed to me like it was 97, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
You
I'd
said
have to go
McCready
home.
Brothers was in that building?
Mhm.
McCready?
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
I
Tina
went to an
said.
auction once and saw McCready Brothers Volkswagen, these Amish Volkswagen.
Really?
Butler,
Yeah.
Ohio, and I thought, wonder where that was at.
Yeah,
Huh.
well,
Now I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they,
Brought a lot of
You
money.
should have
too.
bought that.
yeah.
Huh?
It brought a lot of money though.
It brought a lot. Didn't I call you about it? I think I
Oh,
called
yeah, you did call
somebody
me.
about it.
Yeah,
Get-
yeah,
get
you
it
did.
mine. I
Yep.
don't remember the number that sold for it, but it
Yeah.
was like,
the McCready actually went bankrupt during the Depression
Yeah.
because they
That's when they got-
offered all the farmers around,
Mhm.
to buy stuff and pay on time. Well, they couldn't pay back.
Yeah.
And the McCreadys lived on that house where Jerry Snyder lives now, or Gary Snyder rather.
Oh. Mhm.
And then he went bankrupt, he lost that building, he also lost the house down there where Gary Snyder lives.
Mhm.
And they moved up at the house just above where Snyder Road comes out on the Possum Run. There's a small
Mhm.
house on the
Mhm.
right there. And that's where the McCreadys grew up then, because the family lost,
Right.
they went bankrupt.
Well, it's got an interesting history. I said, and it's going to keep on, we hope. If anybody wants to volunteer up there, Sally's been there, gosh, she's been there 20-some years, I think, now, because she took over when I did. When I told her, I don't know, forget. Anyhow, I told her I was getting too old to take a chance on me getting sick or something, and then nobody knew what to do, And I said, somebody has to learn, the books and the stuff of this. And so she decided that she would go ahead and stay, and so I showed her what the ordering and all that does. When I left, I think we had pretty close to 75 meals that I was cooking every day. I'd get in there about 4:30 and start cooking, and breakfast days was fun. I loved the breakfast when all the guys come in and ate breakfast. It was a
what
lot of
meals they
fun.
do now? Okay, meals they currently doing.
Yeah, I don't know, but they've got 2 routes. Yeah, we started out with one, then we had 2. We did the Belleville and Butler. We used to just have 2 drivers, or they went together, and they did all of it, Butler and Belleville both. And then somebody else came in and volunteered, so we split them up and did it, which helped a lot. And Weekly's down there have been really, really good with us as far as fixing the vans and stuff. If something go wrong, I'd take it down and no charge. I mean, they just fixed it and it was done. That's so many people have been helpful like that. We have a really nice town. We have a really, really nice town. So,
How many years were you at the bank, Dee? Like from when?
31.
31?
31, yeah.
31 years at the bank.
And so what were the dates there as far as time, like years?
see. Tony was in school. I think Bill was 4 years old, and he's, oh gosh, what, 50? He was born in 61, so it would have been 4 years before that, or right about that time, that 41, or 61 he was born. So I started in 65.
Okay.
I know it was 65 because my father died in 65, and I was working at Herm's then. Herm had been in the hospital, Herm Harris, and his wife was Kathy's teacher, called and asked me if I would come and work for a couple weeks while he was in the hospital. So I did that, but I was there 6 months, and that's when I told him that's enough. You know. But that happened a lot of times.
So then in 96 is when you said enough. That'd be 31 years, 96.
At the
Somewhere.
from the bank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me see. Yeah, 'cause I can't remember. I don't know, it's in September anyhow that I started, and I thought I must have, I think I left the bank in 97, I think. 97, so it would have been whatever that is from there. Yeah.
Do you know when the bank first came to Butler?
No, I don't. I don't remember when. I can almost remember when it wasn't here when we moved here, I don't think.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah.
I think
It was
right
in
around
where the, what is that? Well, that man bought it now. It was a,
Right
Yeah,
on the
the-
corner.
where
it's
the
on the
drugstore
corner,
was.
yeah. That's where it was when we came.
Yeah.
And Jack Basor was the president at that time. And then they bought the old, I think it was the old hotel that
Oh, yeah.
sat on there, and they tore that down and put the bank up.
So it was actually where the National Bank was, right on the corner.
Well,
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the National
Yeah,
Bank.
well,
yeah.
and first it was the Citizens Bank.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
was the
'cause
first bank
We
that
moved here
came
in
to Butler.
55, and when it was there, I think it was Richmond Bank when I first, yeah, I know it was because Jack Basor was there.
Yeah.
And he was our president of the bank later on up in Mansfield. So. Okay?
Well, thank you.
If you want to see, when I looked in there, I was surprised to see how many people were working there that I didn't even see because I was working at the time too. So, no, I was at the bank at that time, I think. I don't know. Yeah, I know I was. But I enjoyed every bit of it. I've been blessed.
Well, we definitely appreciate all that you've done. But there's been, you're one of many that has contributed it, but you're the one that's here tonight, so. But we appreciate all.
One person can't do it.
No.
It takes the whole community.
That's for sure. Well, our meeting is officially adjourned, so feel free to stick around afterwards. But, oh yeah, you should have said something about that. Okay, Dee tonight brought some, is it jam or jelly?
Well, both.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay, so she said anybody that wants to take some home with them, take some home with them. So there's 2 boxes over there, grab one. If you see that there's still some, grab 2. No.
Is it the cherry?
What?
Cherry?
There is a cherry there, I think.
Yeah.
You better run and get it.
She's given us cherry before, and I think it's
See,
good.
that's what I did one day when I was home after I'd left everything, and I was home one day and I thought, what the heck am I gonna do here all day? So I thought, I had some strawberries in the freezer, and I thought, Mom used to make jelly. We used to make jelly with my mother. She made crabapple and elderberry, and it was so pretty. I thought, I'm gonna try jelly. So I started making, and last year was over 800, and this year so far I've got 547 made this year.
Gee, Minnie.
Stop. Oh, my word.
You sound like Kathy Kinley here.
Well,
think I'm
This is smart.
when the ALS just had a big garage sale, and
She's got me.
gave them 1 dozen, and she called, she said, could we have another? And we already sold 10 of them, and they haven't even opened yet.
Oh.
And so I sent 10 more, or 12 more, another thing over, and I had them in the car, but then Rick Fulton decided he wanted to go, so he come pick me up, and my jelly's in the car, and they come over and they said, did you bring any more jelly? So, but wherever anybody does something for me, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for coming. I appreciate it. So feel free to stick around, folks. My wife, I don't know if you were here when I said that tonight's my wife's birthday. So we're kind of
Just
celebrating
sing
her
it again.
birthday and
Not that
yeah,
everybody's here.
right, yeah.
One.
Okay, let's sing a happy birthday again and everybody enjoy cake and ice cream. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you again.
All right, folks.